You get a 4 for today, go back to your seat. I was left speechless there, and maybe someone else in my situation would have taken the opportunity to admire her legs and the butt she was treating me with. Hi, I'm Gigi. Man, I've told you in other stories that I was really good at math, at least until about 6th grade, when you had to memorize a lot of formulas and know all sorts of cosines, sines, tangents, cotangents by heart, and I didn't like that, memorizing stuff. With the formula in front of me, I could easily solve any exercise, instantly becoming a little genius, a young prodigy. The same applied to other subjects. I could quickly memorize and learn anything if I wanted to. That wasn't the issue. I excelled in grammar, even in subjects beyond Romanian. It came naturally to me, like arithmetic, as everything followed a logical structure. I excelled in French and English. I know there are a few people watching me who think I'm just talking nonsense now, who are wondering, well then why do you make agreement mistakes and not put the hyphen where it belongs? Liar! The answer is simple. It's been many years since then. I'm in a hurry and don't have time to check. Most importantly, I'm not in school anymore. My channel is an animated story channel, not an educational one, teaching grammatically correct writing. Back to the topic, my excellent memory, logical thinking, and analytical skills helped me excel in school effortlessly. The middle school teachers recognized my potential. The school I attended was the most competitive in the area, and everyone knew I was a lazy slacker despite my abilities. I was playing, man, soccer, ping pong, and computer games all day. But I did that because I could afford to. I knew my strengths and my limits. When it was time to study and I had no choice, that's what I did. I flexed my gray matter. In many classes, students were called on alphabetically based on the class roster. I quickly memorized that lesson by heart, like the Lord's Prayer when I knew my turn was approaching. 30 minutes at home and 5 minutes of review before class. If you asked me the next day, I barely remembered anything. I forgot everything because I wasn't interested. The subject just didn't interest me. My brain was like a sponge. The information would go in one ear, stay there as long as I needed it, and then go out the other ear. It made room for the things I was interested in. This tactic didn't always work. In some subjects, the teacher could call on you anytime. And of course, I usually left class with a chair or a swan. Essential things, if you ask me. Let's get down to business. The answer to last week's quiz was B, 8 coils. The first 5 comments with the correct answer and another 5 chosen at random are now displayed on the screen. Do you want a chance too? Pay attention to the next quiz. How much money did I get for the couple's wire? A 50 lei, B 2 lei, C 30 lei. Leave your answer quickly in the comments. You have 5 seconds. Ready? Did you answer? And now, back to the story, but I wasn't worried. I had a secret weapon that never failed. And even if something unexpected happened and things went south, I'd move on to plan B, cheating. I had a bunch of methods, but that's another story, but usually things were simple. We had a minimum of 1 test per semester in each subject. The most crucial subjects also included a final exam. I would start studying, and even if I didn't get a 10, I was sure to get at least a 9. That's how I would easily pass any subject. It was generally normal. As I told you earlier, all the teachers knew me as a smart guy, but lazy and unserious. But high school was different. I was unknown there. And in 9th grade, the first semester, I messed up and failed geography. The first and only time in my life, besides the makeup exams in college. If you haven't seen the story, you can find it above. It's worth checking out. And besides geography and math, Gaina and I had another subject we had never passed. The teacher didn't notice our farts in physics class. After what happened to me in geography, a 2 and a 4 in the same class, I got scared. The shark had made me think. I told Gaina that starting next week, we'll be attending physics class. Yeah, man, we'll go. We'll see. We're going because she'll allow it. Unlike the shark, she doesn't have it out for us. It's crucial, man. We must go or we'll fail. I saw Gigi. She's young. She's attractive and easily impressed by your hair. I'd be interested in pursuing her. Man, he calmed me down a bit. In my experience, the younger ones were usually more understanding. They gave high grades and didn't have too many demands, but just to be sure, I'll ask Dawn when I get to class. How's that physics teacher? She's cool, Gigi, but I tried, and you can't fool her. She almost kicked me out of class. What the hell are you talking about? Gigi, the strict physics teacher, supposedly has a crush on someone here, based on rumors. Did you drink at home? You still have wine and aren't bringing it? Weren't you the one who asked? She's as mean as a shark when it comes to grades. I need advice to avoid failing physics like I did in geography. Why didn't you say so? She's even meaner than that one. That's what the chicken said too, that there's no way she could be like that one. Yeah, man, I think half the class is going to fail with her. Wait, hold on, you said she's meaner. She's like Hitler, but you know how sexy she is when she yells. And what the hell are you laughing at, man? I'm going to ask for the notebook to write down the lessons. Write the last one, Gigi. She doesn't check the old ones. When I heard that, I calmed down. I thought she would check like a shark, 5 lessons at once. But this way, I wasn't worried. Plus, I even had the textbook for physics. I only had about 4 or 5 textbooks for my subjects, which I bought from some 10th graders that Dom knew and connected me with. It was hard to get textbooks. They had 2 classes of 40 students in total. We had 3 classes, over 90. Our class and those from A were in the new math computer science track, the first year the high school offered this specialization. Many subjects differed from those of the older students in the physics chemistry track or similar. I learned the lesson straight from the book without writing it down. I expected the teacher to call on me as soon as she saw me with the chicken. The next week in physics class, the chicken and I were ready. The teacher walked in wearing high heels, a tight black skirt with a generous bust and pretty face. She was blonde, hair in a bun, and couldn't have been older than 27. What did I say? I got scared for nothing. She doesn't seem that mean. He just grinned like an idiot without saying anything. This guy tricked us. Man, and she heard me, and she gave me a cold, icy look. I lowered my head. I didn't want to get in trouble again. The shark had already calmed me down. She began calling roll. Gaina, alphabetically ahead of me, raised his hand and said present. But she said nothing and moved on. When she got to me, I raised my hand, said present, and she also said nothing, continuing with attendance. What should I say? I got away with it, but when she finishes, she says we have 2 classmates gracing us with their presence. She warns we'll be called on and that more unexcused absences will result in an incomplete average. Gaina is asked to stand and recite the title and a few lines from the lesson before stopping. That's all he learned during the break. If it were another subject, he might have scraped by with a 5. But she gives him a 1. Gaina's face drops, even his hair looking deflated. Why only a 1? I deserve at least a 4. You didn't even earn a 1. I'd give you a 0 if possible. Sit down. And she wasn't joking, man. Apparently she had tried to give 0 to other classmates, but the rules didn't allow it. I sat calmly, knowing the lesson perfectly. Called to stand, I recited it like a poem. She periodically stopped me to ask questions, checking my understanding. After the lesson, she called me to the blackboard. She gave me a simple exercise, but I didn't know the formula. I didn't overcomplicate it and admitted I didn't know. I already had an 8 guaranteed anyway. That's what I believed, but she was strict with grades, even stingier than Toma Alimosh. For today, you get a 4. Go back to your seat. I stood there speechless. Someone else might have admired her legs and backside she used to treat me with. I didn't understand why a 4. My brain had short-circuited. How come a 4, ma'am? I knew the whole lesson. What are you doing now? Are you questioning me? No, ma'am, I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? You got a 7 for theory and a 1 for practice. Add them up and divide by 2. But why a 7? I knew everything. Go back to your seat. Do you want a 2 as well? I returned to my desk without further comment. I asked Dawn after class. It seems she had transferred from a university in Bucharest. She was very strict with grades. She never gave a 10. She said 9 was the teacher's grade. You got an 8 if you answered every class and never missed her class, and a 7 was like a 10. Dawn, why didn't you mention it? Gigi, didn't I say she was strict? You said she doesn't ask about old stuff like a shark, but you need to know how to solve problems. I'm wondering why I'm here in the middle of nowhere. Did they kick her out? No, I didn't tell you that. I later discovered that a 4 wasn't a terrible grade. She likely has someone here. Most of the class scored 2s and 3s, with Lupu, Dawn, and Maria among the few who got 5s and 6s. She was the best in the class. At the next physics class, he tested the same students again unexpectedly. We hadn't learned anything. But it seems she wasn't much different from the shark. She had her eyes on us too, and the same outcome. Well, almost the same. This time, I also got a 1. I was even thinking 4 plus 1 divided by 2 equals 2.5. Since I knew her, she'd give me an average of 2 because she always rounded down. I needed an average of 8 for the second semester, which was impossible. I had accepted it. Near the end of class, she announces a test for next week that I wasn't aware of and advises us to prepare. Hearing that made my heart leap with joy. It was precisely what I needed. Tests and exams were my forte. So I started studying, both theory and problems, and the problems didn't seem hard to me at all. If you knew the formulas, but there weren't many. On test day, Don, who had high physics grades of 5 and 6, moved me from my desk. He puts me alone, right behind Maria, the classmate who was the best at physics. He moves me to number 1 to avoid having the same number as Maria. He gives us really tough topics, man. It was the hardest test so far. And even though I had studied almost everything, I couldn't finish the whole test, but according to my calculations, I got a 7. After an hour, I go out for a smoke with Gina, and Don joins us. Did you guys do anything on the test? I did something, Gigi. I have a chance at a 5. What about you, Coco Stark? Shut up, peasant. What could I do, man? Only hieroglyphs there. I think I'll get a 7, man. What's wrong with you, Gigi? No way, man. Did you eat something bad again? Snort noodles? That's what I always get on tests. Usually 9 or 10. Physics is easy, Gigi said. Were you drinking with the fat guy and the slime? No, man. When would I go? You copied from Maria, right? Watch out, you'll fail because of this. I didn't copy, man. What's wrong with you? It wasn't even my number. That was the first test I took in high school. They didn't know I could study if I wanted to. Don couldn't accept I'd get a higher grade than him, considering he never missed a class. And I'd only been coming for 2 weeks. A week and a half goes by and she brings the tests, starting with the grades. Gina 0, the fat guy 0, Mazga 0, and about 10 more. You could even get a 0. She goes on with almost a whole class with 1s, 2s, and 3s. Lupu and Niku got 4, Don and Gina got 5. Maria scored a 7.90, stunning the class with whispered congratulations. 1 test remained, mine, which I knew I aced. The teacher called, "Gigi, stand up." I replied with a mischievous smile, "Yes, ma'am." She asked, "Where did you copy from?" My smile faded as the teacher accused me of copying, just as Don had predicted. I was prepared for this, having studied the problems thoroughly. Now I could solve even the ones I hadn't done before. She threatened to make me repeat the year if I didn't tell the truth. I don't accept such a thing. I didn't copy, that's the truth, ma'am. She remembers that I was behind Maria, as she was the one who moved me there. She was now convinced that I copied from Maria and asked if I had done so. Maria, you know what? I'm giving you a 0, too. No, ma'am, I don't know anything. Gigi, tell her if you copied. Ask me anything you want. I didn't copy anything. Plus, I was number 1 and Maria was number 2. I was getting annoyed by all the accusations. And she asks me a few questions. I answer about 3 out of 5. I've forgotten some since then, ma'am. And she calls me up to the board. She gives me a problem from the test. I solve it, but she says I memorized it afterwards. Give me another problem of your choosing. And she gives me 1, 2, 3. I solved them all in 5 minutes. She couldn't believe it. In the end, she realizes I didn't cheat, apologizes, tells me I got an 8.60, the highest grade, and the whole class was amazed. Don exclaimed, "Bravo, Gigi, the smartest in the class." Then I heard the most painful words for me. "So you're a smart boy. I expect a lot from you. Don't let me down." Days later, he raised all grades by 2 points. The order probably came from Dove Lascelles, the principal of the high school. I was supposed to get an 11, but I was satisfied with a 10. I was slightly annoyed that Maria also got a 10 in the gradebook, but I accepted it. Gaina, Muzga, Grasu, and around 5 or 6 others failed, but she passed them in the next semester, resigning afterwards. She got pregnant. Don was right. She moved there with her husband and chose to raise her child. She passed them all, aware she wouldn't return next year. I shed the label of being a smart but lazy boy, at least for a while, to the delight of my entire class. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give a like, leave a comment, and share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell for notifications. What can we learn from this story? Well, don't judge teachers by their age. Appearances can be deceiving sometimes, and when you know you have a test or an assignment, study, man. Until next time, we'll meet when we see each other. Bye.